Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Palm Springs Board of Education meeting for March 12th. I would like to call the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Board Member Girardi?
Here.
Board Member Espericueta?
Here.
Board Member Irvin?
Here.
Board Clerk Cornett?
Here.
Board President Durrell?
Here.
And we have Student Board Member Ledesma?
Here.
And Student Board Member Pozuelos.
Here.
Perfect. So next we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance and a presentation of colors led by our Desert Hot Springs High School Marine Corps JR OTC. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Good. Ready. Cut. Right. Face.
Please remain standing.
March.
Okay, and we'll remain standing for a moment of silence to be observed for our employee, Irene Canales. Irene Canales worked for Palm Springs Unified School District from August 2013 to March 2024. And she served as a supervision aide, a library technician, and an office specialist. In her dedicated 10 and a half years Palm Springs Unified School District work, she was a dedicated employee. We honor her right now. Thank you for standing. You may be seated. Okay, as we go on to our agenda, we look at item 5D, our mission statement. And tonight, our student board member, Juliana Ledesma, will read our mission statement. And after that, our school board member, Mr. Espericueta, will read it again in Spanish. Go ahead.
All members of Palm Springs Unified School District are united in our commitment to equity. We create deep, meaningful learning opportunities, build professionalism, and engage parents and community to ensure success for all students. All students graduate with the skills, capacities, and confidence needed to succeed in a rapidly changing world.
Yo lo voy a leer en español. Todos los miembros del Distrito Escolar Unificado de Palm Springs están unidos en nuestro compromiso con la equidad. Creamos oportunidades de aprendizaje profundas y significativas. Creamos profesionalismo e involucramos a los padres y a la comunidad para garantizar el éxito de todos los estudiantes. Todos los estudiantes se gradúan con las habilidades, capacidades y confianza necesaria para tener un éxito en un mundo en cambio rápido.
Thank you both. And now we'll go back to Juliana to read our land acknowledgement.
The Palm Springs Unified School District acknowledges the Kovats as the original stewards of the land on which the Palm Springs Unified School District facilities now sit. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work with the indigenous people in this place. We pay our respect to the Cahuilla people past, present, and emerging who have been here since time immemorial.
Thank you both. Next, we'll move on to approval of our agenda. Can I get a motion? I'm sorry, excuse me. Clerk Cornett, are there any actions to report from closed session?
There's no closed session items to report.
Thank you. Item 7. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll move.
And a
Second.
second? Are there any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you. Number 8, we have our student board member reports. They'll be presented tonight by our Desert Hot Springs High School student board member, Juliana Ledesma, and then our Mount San Jacinto High School student board member, Matthew Pozuelos, sorry. And then also, I understand that Juliana will have additional students come up with her. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Juliana Ledesma from Desert Hot Springs High School, and this is our January through March updates. Some items on our agenda are the winter and spring sports and some of our other teams, community involvement, the talent show and Taste of Soul, the seniors, and upcoming events. First, we have winter and spring sports and our other teams. Our boys soccer team fought their way all the way to the semifinals in CIF. And our girls basketball team makes history by winning their first playoff game and earning the most wins in a single season. We have started our spring season with our boys volleyball team, our boys tennis, baseball, track and field, our swim team, and our softball team. So good luck to all of our teams. Our DHS dance team participated in the community dance event in Palm Springs, Dancing in the Streets, last week, and they placed first place winners of each division at state regionals. Our cheerleaders have held 2 mini cheerleader camps for football and the basketball season, and they have supported our teams on the road to CIF. Up next, we have community involvement. USB hosted the second blood drive of the year last week with the help of the live stream blood bank, and it went very well. Each donation helped save 8 babies. The new chapter at our school, Friday Night Live, hosted the blanket drive in which we accepted donations such as blankets, sweaters, scarves, beanies, and gloves. And we currently are hosting the Feminine Hygiene Drive in honor of Women's History Month. And we accept items such as socks, journals, deodorants, hairbrushes, pads, and tampons. And that will end the 21st. Up next, we have every 15 minutes, and I'll be joined by some of our PSA students.
Good evening. My name is Naomi Gastello,
And my name is Ebony Torres.
And alongside us tonight, we also have Cadet Kalea Dawson and Cadet Jose de Jesus Sebastian.
The Public Safety Academy is a 3-year dual enrollment program that consists of law enforcement, fire rescue, and emergency medical response. When cadets graduate, they graduate with a 3-year college transcript from College of the Desert and along with 9 college credits.
One organization that our cadets are involved in is Skills USA. Skills USA is a career technical student organization where our cadets compete in firefighting, law enforcement, crime scene investigation, and first aid CPR. This year, 18 cadets had competed at the regional level, and we'll be sending 7 of those cadets to state on April 4th through the 7th.
Some of our very important members of the Academy are our business partners that include California Highway Patrol, National Park Services, and CAL FIRE, and many others.
Along with some of those business partners, we completed our yearly capstone project called Every 15 Minutes. The purpose of the program was to show the consequences and severity of drinking and driving. This was a 2-day operation, the first day showing a simulation of a fatal car crash on our school stadium, and the second day being a funeral-like assembly in our school's gym. And finally, we would like to invite anybody who would like to come visit our PSA building here located at Desert Hot Springs High School. More information is on your brochures that was given out prior to our presentation. Thank you for your time.
Next up, we have our talent show and Taste of Soul. We hosted our talent show Spirit Week in February, included days such as 90s Throwback, Dynamic Duo, Spotlight Day, and Class Colors for the day of the talent show. This was the day of the talent show, our Eagles Got Talent. Our first place winners for the class dance was the senior class, and our first place winners for the other talented Eagles were the Baile Folklorico dance team. Congratulations. Next up, we have Taste of Soul. Our Black Student Union hosted their annual Taste of Soul event in honor of Black History Month, filled with amazing performances, awards, and delicious food outside. Next up, we recently crowned our senior superlatives. These are some of our many talented seniors from the class of 2024. And lastly, we have our upcoming events. We'll be hosting a Spring Fest April 12th, open to the public, where we will be enjoying food, snacks, carnival games, and fun times with friends, and much more. And on April 30th, we will have our annual Powder Puff game, our sophomore class and our senior class versus our junior class and our freshman class. We hope to see you there. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana, and thank you to our Public Safety Academy. Next, Matthew.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Pozuelos, and this is my MSJ presentation for the 12th. So for our Spirit Week, we are currently doing the Western Day, the Culture Day, the Dress Like Your Type Day, the Teenage Jersey Day, or Team Jersey, the Senior Sign Out Day. And this is a photo of our Western Day at MSJ. And we currently do have the teacher up there. And then we also have an upcoming game for the seniors and the juniors for volleyball, where they're going to be playing. And then for our soccer teams, for our Cathedral City campus, we had the boys did 3-1, the girls did 2-1 and 1. The EWEC campus did 3-1, and the girls did 3-1 too. And then these are photos from our MSJ soccer team. And now we have our quarter 3 graduates. For Cathedral City campus, we have about 42. For our EWEC campus, we have about 20 of them. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. So before we proceed, Juliana, is there anyone that you'd like to say a special welcome to because this is your school? Or anyone you'd like to talk about?
Thank you to my USB class for being here, and, and our USB advisor, Mr. B, and of course my mom.
And Matthew, was there anyone today?
Yes, I want to thank you, Miss Ione, for showing up.
Yay, MSJ. Good, good, thank you. So we'll move on with our special recognitions. So we have 2 special recognitions that are new, added to our agenda tonight. These special recognitions are included for us to recognize students and their commitment to academic excellence, and also a parent who is recognized for their involvement and engagement in school site activities and events. So, are we going down to do that? Are they coming up?
No, we're going to do the video.
Oh, okay, we're going to start with the video.
Oh, for the parents? No,
Yeah,
we'll do it down here.
Okay,
Down here.
so we'll meet them down at the bottom of the audience, front row. I don't know, I think that's it.
Yeah, you're doing great.
I think it's because there's not that much space up there.
So we are so excited to bring parents and students here before our board and before all of our members of Palm Springs Unified and honor these special people. First, may I invite Addison Bellew here, up to the audience, up to the board. Okay, she'll be right back. Okay, so we'll wait for Addison.
Oh.
Good job. Come on over, Addison. Shake everybody's hand. Thank you for coming. So good to see you, meet you. All right, come up here. So, this is a certificate of excellence, and we want you to know that you have an extraordinary commitment to hard work, dedication, perseverance, and you have exceptional academic excellence at Desert Springs Middle School for this year, 2023-24. Congratulations. You stay up here, okay, with us. Come on over here.
Okay, and next I have Braden Herbst. Congratulations, Braden. We want to recognize you for your extraordinary commitment to hard work, dedication, perseverance, and exceptional academic excellence at Desert Hot Springs Middle School during the year of 2023-2024. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good evening. Next one is Nancy Rivera. And for Nancy Rivera is in recognition of the remarkable contribution to Desert Spring Middle School through active participation, collaboration, involvement, and engagement in school site activities and events during the 2023-2024 school year. Congratulations, Nancy. This is yours.
So we're going to sit down here and watch the videos, okay? We're going to sit down here. So if you'll stand right over there, we'll give you the certificates right over there. So next, we are going to have a few videos produced by our digital media interns.
For our classified employee of the month, we nominated Tonatiuh. Donna runs our kitchen. She makes sure our students have healthy meals. She runs her staff with efficiency and positivity. The kitchen always passes all its inspections. She keeps everything clean, and she's always willing to try something new when admin comes up with some last-minute changes on how we're going to line up kids or get kids through the lunch line. What sets Donna apart from the rest is that she has a good work ethic. She's here all the time. She's punctual. She's creative. She will do anything within the nutritional guidelines she can to help a student. Donna, we just want you to know that we appreciate you, and our Scorpions are lucky that you run our kitchen.
Cynthia Ballou, she's our reading intervention teacher here at Two Venture Homes. She teaches small group reading instruction, and she's been instrumental in helping our teachers develop their skills in teaching reading and early literacy skills. Nominated Cynthia because of her expertise in reading and her willingness to help others. She goes above and beyond to make sure that teachers and her support staff have everything they need to be successful at teaching reading. She's constantly researching and investigating new strategies and making sure that teachers feel comfortable in utilizing them. She is awesome with her students, making sure that each of them gets their needs met, making sure that the practices she uses resources and our strategies are equitable and meets the students where they are and helps them to develop into better readers. Cynthia, we could not do what we do here at Two Bunch Palms without you. You have helped us to create a culture of literacy and just making sure that all students can learn to read, and that helping us to make sure that that urgency have really helped us to build the urgency and help people to realize the importance of teaching early literacy skills to students. So we've nominated our 3 classified paraprofessional bilingual aides that work under Cynthia Ballou in our reading intervention program. Maria, Cheyenne, and Alondra have been an integral part in making sure that we can reach as many students as possible in our reading intervention program. They have developed into skilled reading teachers. They are always working hard to learn new strategies. They're asking questions and really wanting to grow as professionals and make sure that students learn to read. So I have worked with Maria for probably off and on for over 25 years. She was my paraprofessional at Vista Del Monte and has been learning to teach students reading and improve her skills in reading and her English language over the past few years, and it's just been an honor and pleasure to watch her grow as a professional. Cheyenne has been with us probably 7 or 8 years, and just really excels at meeting students where they are and building that rapport and relationship with students so that they feel safe to take risks with her and do the best they possibly can. Alondra is the newest member of our group and has just fit into the group perfectly and is just working hard to learn everything she can about teaching students to read and early literacy skills. Maria, Cheyenne, and Alondra, we couldn't reach as many students as we could, and we just appreciate your dedication and patience and perseverance in teaching our most struggling readers how to read.
All right. For our Scorpion Certificated Staff of the Month, we have chose Ms. Perry Ajar. Ms. Ajar is our math teacher who also teaches ASB. Ms. Ajar is a fantastic, innovative teacher that's always planning with different strategies to keep students engaged. What also sets Ms. Ajar aside is her willingness to be on any group or committee that we have not only at the school, but in the district. She's been involved with curriculum adoptions, pacing guides. Here at the site, she's involved in our brand new AVID team. She's a process champion for capturing kids' hearts, and she's always quick to respond to being willing to help and do anything that's best for kids. Ms. Ajar, at Scorpion Nation, we are proud to have you on our team, and our students are lucky to have you.
Perfect. Well, before we move on to our recognitions, we must tell everyone that's here tonight. First of all, we thank our host high school, Desert Hot Springs High School. Give yourselves a hand. Home of the Eagles, right? Yes. And then all of our community and all of our parents, please give everybody a hand. Thank you. And we are in a school that puts together a board meeting weeks in advance and tries their hardest to make sure it's just perfect. And we believe that. So thank you to technology and all of the host auditorium and all of the people that are here on campus. Give yourselves a hand and thank them too. Thank you. So we're going to continue our recognitions.
Okay, if we could have Alondra Villarreal come on up. And Cheyenne Ledesma. Maria Asperqueta. Alondra. And Cynthia Ballou. Here.
Beautiful shirts.
Thank you. Oh. Now I'm going to read some nice things about you. Not that we haven't seen them on the screen up there, but Alondra Villarreal is commended for many reasons, including working diligently to learn a new role to support 44 students in reading, assisting teachers with planning instruction and activities to support all students, and ensuring that students feel nurtured, valued, and respected. Cheyenne is commended for many reasons, including the amazing ability to form relationships with all students, staff, and parents. Assisting with translating ensures that all students feel respected, heard, and valued, and taking the initiative whenever she knows a task must be completed with a caring heart and a positive attitude. Maria is commended for many reasons, including providing reading intervention support for 44 students in grades 1st through 5, seeking opportunities to help teachers and students, ensuring that all students are successful and do their best, and for going above and beyond in her work as a paraprofessional to ensure that all students become more confident, fluent readers, and she's always the first to offer to help with any task. Cynthia is to be commended for many reasons, including showcasing a deep commitment to enhancing literacy education, going above and beyond to help fellow teachers when needed, establishing strong connections with parents, students, and the community, and for organizing literacy nights and supporting many events on campus at Two Bunch Palms. Alondra, Cheyenne, Maria, and Cynthia, on behalf of the students and staff of Two Bunch Palms Elementary School, members of the governing board and administration, it is a pleasure to present you with these plaques of recognition as Employees of the Month for February 2024. I'm going to ask you if any of you want to say anything about people in the audience. If not, you could just hand it.
Thank you for my parents and my sister for showing up. And thank you, Cynthia and Maria and Cheyenne, for always helping me out in this new role that I've taken. And I appreciate all my staff at Two Bunch Palms.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Cheyenne. I just want to say thank you to Sammy, my husband, for coming and supporting me. And also, I love working at Two Bunch Palms with these ladies and all of our amazing staff. So thank you to everyone.
I want to say thank you to everybody to show up first, and thank you to Cindy because she is our leader, and thank you my husband for being here, and also my brother-in-law right here. Thank you. And thank you, special thank you to Mrs. Fenton because it wasn't for her, I wasn't here.
I want to say thank you so much to these three wonderful ladies. Without you guys, there's no way we could support almost 200 kids in reading. You ladies definitely go above and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then thank you to my husband, Daniel, and my daughter, Addison, and Denise and Anthony. You guys are the most amazing administrators to work for. And Miss Tracy, we love you. You're amazing.
Did you want to get a group photo or the four of you or sure. Okay. Just one of them. I know. Congratulations. Okay.
We continue with the recognition. I want Dana Trujillo and Perry Agar to come to the front, please. Thank you. Dana Trujillo is not here? Okay. So. Dana Trujillo is commended for many reasons, including working closely with Desert Spring Middle School staff and students to provide healthy meals for all students and interested staff, leading the kitchen staff with possibility and effectiveness, and working hard behind the scenes to make the cafeteria, lunch line, and kitchen run smooth every day. Perry Ajar Perry Ajar is commended for many reasons, including being an active member and participant at Desert Spring Middle School and with the Palm Springs Unified School District, serving on committees, playing a crucial role as a math and ASB teacher, offering ideas, strategies, and supporting all learners every day. Dana and Perry, on behalf of the students and staff at Desert Spring Middle School, members of the governing board and administration, it is a pleasure to present you with this plaque of recognition as Employee of the Month for March 2024. Congratulations. Is anything that you want?
I would just like to thank the amazing admin at DSMS and all the other teachers that have supported me and all the students who have given me the time and the opportunity to teach them. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Are we staying down here for this? Call the name so you don't have to stay if you don't want to, but it's not on your script.
So next, we'll go up and introduce them, okay?
He needs to, okay?
Yes. Okay. We're going to continue with our board recognition to commend members of our Aspiring Administrators Academy. So I'm going to ask Mr. Brian Hendra to come up and call up the participants. Here you go.
First, I want to say the Aspiring Administrative Academy is one of our human resources professional development opportunities. This group of people here really are inspiring to me and the rest of the people in the district. They took part in 6 different sessions through our 4 departments, through student services, educational services, human resources, and business services. They really do give everything to our students all the time, and they were nominated by their principals on top of that. So I wanted to make sure you had a little background of what we're doing with them. Yep. Okay. And when you guys come up here, guys, please stay. We will be taking a picture afterwards. Anel Aon. Elizabeth Boucher. Ramala Burns. Kelly Dean. Cleophas de la Cruz. Shane Franks. You can probably come up there too. Yeah. Laura Garner. Giles Hugh. Martha Hunter. Blanca Montoya. Jason Moore. Wendy Nelson. Aaron Rom. Keith Reedy. And Robert Steele.
There. Check, check. There we are.
Perfect.
Hello.
So we continue our agenda with item 10A, a facilities update, and we'll ask Mr. Jeff Simmons to introduce Julie Arthur.
Sure, I would like to invite Julie Arthur, our Executive Director of Facilities, up to the podium. She's going to give you a brief update on the Cathedral City High School project and what you're going to be voting on tonight, as well as the next meeting. She'll explain kind of both updates to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me here this evening, and I appreciate being able to speak to everyone tonight about Cathedral City High School modernization. And we've had a couple of communications on this, but tonight, I believe it's item, under board action, item number F. You'll be voting on the first actual modernization work that will be taking place at Cathedral City High School. Now, the Cathedral City High School modernization is a little complicated, we've been very fortunate in that we've been able to have federal funds be part of this project that was approved. We've had about $21 million in federal funds, which we were carving out to make sure that we fit the wording that CDE approved. And so tonight we'll be approving roughly 22 million, which will be a little bit of, which is all the rest of our ESSER funds of 20.6 million, and a little bit of bond funds tonight on this amount. Now, the reason we actually had to split these into separate contracts is because of the audit requirements of the federal funds. We really have to keep them separate from our other funds and other work. So this was actually a very strategic in it that we were able to bring almost $21 million into our modernization pot. We have already approved amendment number 1, and that was August 22nd in 23. And what we did with that first amendment was we purchased the long lead equipment, our cooling towers, and all of our central plant items. We've been taking roughly on some of our HVAC equipment anywhere from 6 months to 12 months to obtain them. So we broke those out. That's our amendment number 1. Tonight before you is amendment number 2, and that is some of the work that goes in with the ESSER funds that we're doing. Some of this work, I'm sure you'll be excited to know that it's removal and replacement of all boilers, hot water pumps, boiler chillers, cooling towers, pumps, electrical, VDFs, fan coils for our building 3 and 400. So the list just goes on what's included in this. This is all absolutely necessary work that will keep our Cathedral City High School up and running with air conditioning, which, as we know in our desert, it's essential. We can't have class without air conditioning in our classrooms. On March 26th, we'll be coming back, and we'll be doing our lease-leaseback contract number 2. And this is the other additional work that the Division of State Architect required as part of this modernization. And a lot of this includes our fire alarms, our PA updates, all of our lighting in our classrooms, our ceilings, and much more of our roof, and many more fan coils in the 200, 100, 800, and 700 building. So while the total of this, I believe, as once we finish with the March 22nd, if you approve that, will be a total of our first phase of our budget of about $44.5 million. Again, this is all essential work. When the public looks at these buildings, they're not going to see new paint, they're not going to see this, but we will have fantastic air conditioning that we will know that will run for the next 30 years. We know our lighting will be LEDs. We know that we will have proper classroom environments, including CO2 temperatures. We'll actually be able to monitor those individually in each classroom with our EMS system, brand new fire alarms, and as well as PA systems. So that's what's moving forward in the increment 1 here. We will come back to you at the June study session, and we're going to talk about increment 2, which is the remainder of the $51 million of the approved budget and what's included in that and where we believe we are with our cost estimates. So with that, any questions before I leave you?
Board, do you have any questions?
Okay, great.
So the next time you're coming back with contract number 2, is that what you said?
Lease-leaseback contract number 2. We actually had legal counsel had recommended we rename that portion so as it stands separate from the ESSER funding portion.
Okay, and at that time, it's an additional, what, 24.5 million, did you say?
Yes, and that's included in the 44.5 that we mentioned here.
Okay.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you, Julie and Jeff.
All right,
Let's
thank
give
you.
them a hand. Okay, we'll move to item number 11, public comments. Clerk Cornett, have we received any email comments?
We've not received any electronic comments.
Thank you. So tonight we ask for in-person comments, and we ask that all comments are to be directed to the board, be under 3 minutes, and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments, and board members do not respond to the public comments. So we have members of the public to share with them something they want to say. May I have Aaron Graham up?
Oh, yeah, it's okay. Okay. All right. Thanks. Hi, I'm Erin Graham. I'm a reflective coach here for PSUSD, and I just wanted to say some nice things publicly about my friend Irene Canales. So when she came to Palm Springs High School, but previously, before she came to work for the school district, she had worked for the Palm Springs Public Library, and she remembered me. I was 30 by then, but she remembered me when I was a child going to the public library and checking out the maximum number of books that I could every week. No surprise that I'm an English teacher, but that's who Irene was. She remembered you, she remembered these details about you, and she knew what made each person unique, students and staff alike. Prior to schools closing for the pandemic in 2020, we were rehearsing together for Chicago. Palm Springs High School was going to put on Chicago, and she was so excited to be on stage with the students. She was excited just to be in a play. We used to rehearse our lines and our choreography together during my prep period in my classroom. And she had such love and compliments, like everything brought her joy. And when you were with her, you really felt that because she brightened the room and she made you feel like $1 million just being there. And I just wanted to say that Irene Canales is an example, like she's what made PSUSD special. I'm just very thankful that I got to know her and work with her. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we continue with board member comments. Do we want to start with Mr. Girardi? Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. First, I'd like to thank Desert Hot Springs High School, Principal Tonatiuh, staff here for putting on this event. I know it's a lot of work. Also, our support staff from ETIS and everybody else, the superintendent's office to help us put this on, so thank you. We know the effort it takes, but it's, I think, a real benefit for our community. We all participated in a board retreat for a couple of days last week, and it's just nice to get back to remembering what's important to us and strategizing and collaborating and brainstorming, so it was very fruitful. I want to congratulate Will Carr and his team and all the instructors who participated and students who participated in the robotic tournament. That was very fun to watch, and I want to congratulate Cathedral City High School for winning that tournament. And also Karen and I, yesterday or the day before, participated in a sponsored naming committee, which more information will be coming down the pike, and I think everybody's going to be very happy when they see that come through. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Espericueta?
Yeah. Thank you, President. Buenas tardes a todos. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros en persona o en el canal de YouTube en vivo. Thank you everyone for being here in person or in the YouTube stream channel. I want to start to congratulate the student board members. It was a great presentation. Ms. Ledesma, Mr. Pozuelos, and the Safety Academy. Thank you for the information that you shared with us and with the audience in the school district. Also, I want to congratulate Cathedral City High School for the recognition of California Distinguished School 2024. That is good for our students, good for our school district. And also, I was with my colleague in the board retreat in March 1st and 2nd. It was a good opportunity to review the school district policies and update them to the current needs. We received an update the information on the academic results of our students in different areas. We analyzed that data, and that helped us to make the necessary adjustment to continue student improvement. In March 5th, I did a stay at the district, presented to Kiwanis Club at Palm Springs. Thank you, Kiwanis Club, for allowing me to share information at the state at the Palm Springs School District. Thank you for everything the organization does to support the student. I would like to highlight an event that appreciates to be. That event is a youth baseball clinic, which will be on Saturday, April 13, from 9 to 12 noon at Cathedral City High School. This event, we will have the former professional baseball players, Darrell Thomas, and he has long history. He played with the LA, Los Angeles Dodgers, with San Diego Padres San Diego, Houston Astros, etc. Another more team. Also, Rudy Lau, he played with the Los Angeles Dodgers, Chicago White Sox, and Kansas City Royals. They will be in that clinic in April 13 in Cathedral City High School. In March 18, also I'm staff in the ETIS robotics tournament with our colleague Gerardi. The students use Lego robots to complete mission. They build those robots and also they calculate how to move them using code and the computer. And in March 8, I attended also the Club de Mujeres Latinas celebrating the International Women's Day. Thank you, Club de Mujeres Latinas de Desert Hot Spring, for this noble cause, raising funds to support a scholarship for students. And gracias al Club de Mujeres Latinas por esta noble causa, recaudando fondos para apoyar con becas a estudiantes. In March 9, I attended the Rancho Mirage High School Race Academy, the first annual Cars and Coffee. That was a good event because include the participation at the Coffee Academy student. They made the food, they sell the food to raise money for student benefit. And also we had good support from the community. Thank you everyone for that support for our students. And it's it. With this I conclude my comments. Thank you.
Yeah, and so I'd like to congratulate the Teachers of the Year and all the other awards that the administrators have received recently here in our district. I as well attended some of the same events that the other board members attended on March the 9th at the Rancho Mirage High School with the Cars and Coffee. There was a lady that was there. Her name was Kat Mallory, and her husband as well had a 1941 Plymouth. And she said her husband and her both worked in our district, and her husband was getting called, I think, overseas. And so her husband hasn't been able to work at Raymond Cree Rancho Mirage this last year due to him going overseas to provide some sort of a service overseas. And his 1941 Plymouth was awesome because it was the last year that they had the suicide doors. So the car has suicide doors, and it was really nice inside. And so I just want to tell them thank you for coming to us and speaking with me and Sergio about the history of the car and talking about how wonderful it was for them to be out there. The weather was great. There was some meat burritos or meat and potatoes that was amazing. So our kids are some great cooks out there at Rancho Mirage. I also, on March the 4th, went and visit Della S. Lindley. And I want to thank the principal, Mandy Gonzalez, and her staff. They showed me a wonderful time around the campus. And I just want to tell them thank you. And on March the 11th, I attended the APAC general meeting. It discussed the LCAP and the different things that are going on. It was a great conversation. The parents, as usual, joined in pretty well and had some great comments about things that they wanted to see with the LCAP and how the funding should be spent. And it was just a great opportunity to be there. And that concludes my comments.
Is I just want to say thank you to Juliana and Matthew for your great reports tonight, and also thank you to the staff of Desert Hot Springs, Principal Tonatiuh, your staff, the superintendent's office for all of your help, and especially the tech department for coming out here. Thank you, Will, and your department. Also, I attended our board retreat on March 1st and 2nd where we reviewed our district policies, and I really want to give a big shout out to the educational services team for really presenting an excellent report on student achievement, and they've also reviewed interventions and programs to help our students succeed. So thank you very much. It was really great. Again, congratulations to our District Teacher of the Year, Cassandra Dorado from Kauai, John Eichinger from Sunny Sands, and Will Bomar from Rancho Mirage High School. And also, I'd like to say a big shout out to Cathedral City High School for being named a California Distinguished School. So that's quite an honor, and I've also had 4 of my grandchildren go through that school, so I'm very happy for them.
Perfect. Thank you. It's really exciting to be here in Desert Hot Springs, and we are so thrilled to be working with such an awesome staff and crew here with the district and all of our leadership as a board. I am so thankful for all of the little changes and all of the details that have come about in this meeting. Tonight, I say muchas gracias por todos que están aquí. I say thank you to the parents, padres, madres, familiares, colegas, organizaciones, comunidad, amigos del Distrito Escolar de Palm Springs. So it's really important that we include everyone in our comments, and gratitude to all of the people that helped to make our district successful. Along with that, tonight we were honoring 2 students from Desert Springs Middle School and a parent from Desert Springs Middle School. And so we give thanks to Sue Drummond, who helped us choose the parents and the students, the parent and the students who were honored. And that was really a thrill to bring back students and parents to honor as well. On February 7th, I was able to attend the annual One Future dinner. We didn't have anyone from the district, but across the county we support other districts, and I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. David Budai from Coachella and Mr. Arthur Kimball, a principal from RCOE. I again commend our board for their hard work in our retreat. We had 2 days of working together on a Friday and a Saturday. We worked about 11 hours, and we went through 29 policies and governance important items that we need to lead as a district. So I thank the board and again, Dr. Kovats and the team that brought us the State of the District academics scores to us. It was exciting for me to be on the morning of March 6th at 7:20 in the morning at Kauai Elementary and seeing Cassandra Dorado receive the District Elementary Teacher of the Year. And everybody was we weren't hiding in the library, but we were there, and it was exciting to see her and hear her in person talk about how that was really meaningful to her. So thank you. I was invited to read with 4th graders, and I was over at a school close to my house in Thousand Palms at Maggie Tapia Elguera, her 4th grade class. And I read a fable from Arnold Lobel's Fables book called The Bad Kangaroo. And it was Read Across America Week, of course, and there were many readers there. And then I brought props, and the students had a chance to get up and role play the Bad Kangaroo and learn the moral of the fable. And so that was really exciting. I thank Mr. Ricardo Flores. He was my tour guide, and of course, our principal, Amanda Gonzalez. But I have to say, when you go to a school and you see kids, you're looking around and you're seeing just not faces, but you're seeing all of the wonderful work that's up and all of the climate on the walls, all the culture. And there's this wall that you all have to go to Dell Lindley and see, and it was the Black History Month wall of writing and art from TK through grade 5. It was in the entry, and I was just breathless. I wanted to just stay and read and see all of the amazing pieces that students put up. So I thank them all for that. And with that, I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Thank you, President Jarrell. I'll be just very slightly redundant on a couple of things that have already been mentioned, but I'll make sure it's very brief. But first, I do want to thank Aaron Graham, for those very kind words about Irene. I knew Irene very well as well, very special person. She's going to be sorely missed. It's very hard for me to tell my daughter Solange, who's in New York. She was very close to Irene and took it particularly hard. But knowing that Irene had a very lasting impact on all of us, her memory will live on. So thank you so much for your comments. Also, Omar and staff here, ETIS, Wilcar, your team, outstanding job on the fly as well. You guys are amazing. So thank you for making this meeting work out so beautifully. Also, Cathedral City High School, I know was mentioned, California Distinguished School. They're going to be in Anaheim. I believe the recognition is either May 2nd or May 3rd, somewhere around that. I'll make sure that the board is aware of that. We're going to make sure that they are represented, but extremely proud of the entire student body, staff, administration, that entire Cathedral City High School community. It takes many years in the making to have that level of success, and so big kudos to all of them. Also, excuse me, having the opportunity to be at the surprise District Teacher of the Year, as already mentioned with Mr. Otto, Mr. Eichender, Mr. Bodner, being along with President Jarrell, Karen Johnson being there as well and surprising. It's always funny when you do these surprise meetings for staff. Usually their first reaction is, uh-oh, what's happening, right? So it's so nice to deliver some positive news and make it very special for all of them. So proud of those teachers and well-deserved. Also was at the Mujeres Latinas event here at Desert Hot Springs High School. So again, another kudos to Omar and the team and board members that showed up and support. They're doing a great job and real proud of all of them. Excuse me. Speaking of Mr. Bonner, he was the one that helped his team, his Race Academy, put on that car show. I was also there present. It was wonderful. My personal favorite, being a Mustang enthusiast, the GT500. By far, that was my favorite one. Love that car. But also I want to recognize that same morning, we had our Mindfulness Day, and that was a lot of yoga activities that were presented there and done. I was a little nervous because I was worried about if I got down on the floor, tried to do any stretch, I would not get up. And luckily, the sound bath was right up my alley. If you ever done sound bath, all you have to do is lay there and listen to the sounds. I'm a yoga enthusiast now, so I can do that. But I want to thank Monica Borrego, Erica Barragan. They put a lot of work into getting this event put together. The feedback that we received from staff was extremely positive. A lot of requests to do it monthly. I don't know if we'll be able to do it monthly, but it takes a lot of work, but something that we will continue to do because it was just so well received. We started our third round of TLCs this week. Excuse me, let me just get a quick drink here. Our third round of TLCs started this week. For those of you who don't know what TLCs are, this is where our Ed Services team, along with me, go out and do site visits, talk about instructional programs with our administrative team, go out and visit classrooms. It's a real good way of connecting and having communication, and we've done that so far. By the end of this week, we'll have done it with every school at least 3 times. And I just got to say, just like you said, President Jarrell, seeing kids in action, seeing our staff in action, makes me extremely proud of being a part of Palm Springs Unified. We have some great instruction going on and a lot of growth that we're going to continue to do, but great aspect from all our teams. One other last couple things. Spring break, just want to wish everybody a well-deserved break. As I was writing this down, and I was thinking, okay, spring break is a week and a half away. And then as soon as I wrote that, I was like, oh my goodness, spring break is a week and a half away. How did it come so quickly? It's amazing that it's there. For some, I know it's not there soon enough, but you'll get there. But enjoy the break. It's well-deserved. So proud of everybody and everything you're doing for our kids. Last but not least, want to welcome our new Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Mr. Clayton Hill, to the team. I know you're going to be a great addition to our district. I had the pleasure of having lunch today with Clayton, and I know he has a lot coming his way, like drinking from the fire hose. And I know after talking with me, I didn't help that at one single bit. I'm sure I threw a lot more. But Clayton, you're going to be outstanding. So welcome, and so proud to have you on board. That'll be it.
Perfect. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to board action items. So we start with approval of final PAR report for 2022-2023 OE 4.4. And Mr. Clayton Hill will introduce Brian Hendra to present the final PAR report.
All right, thank you, President Jarrell. So I'd like to introduce and bring back up Mr. Brian Hendra, our Director of Certificated Human Resources. And while he's coming up and we're getting the screen set up here for the final PAR report, I also want to take a moment and recognize and thank all of our reflective coaches who had a pleasure of meeting, who came out tonight, and all the hard work, important work really, that they do with our students, or rather our teachers. So I want to thank them for coming out. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hendra.
Well, I want to thank the board and the cabinet today just for taking the time to listen to the PAR report and kind of go over some of the resources human resources give out to our new teachers and some of our experienced teachers also through different methods like our STEP program and also our PAR. So slowly but surely, we're going to talk about the new teacher induction program and our PAR assistant review. Our reflective coaches that are behind us. Oh, no. Thank you. Our reflective coaches, as you see behind us, are 6 young, wonderful ladies back there. They're highly successful teachers through our school district. They've been recommended by their principals. They go through a rigorous process of being interviewed with collaboration with PSTA, and then we also do classroom visits on that to select them. They get to be in this position for 3 years with an optional 4th year. So that way, always making sure that they get the experience that they need in the classroom to be able to coach our new teachers and our people as we come through. Want to introduce the reflective coaches. They can stand, hopefully. We have Holly Reed, Aaron Graham, Marty Manopoulos. Yes, Norma Flores, Jamie Dunn, and Maribel Castro. They really are the team and the heart behind our reflective coaches and really making sure that our teachers are successful in that classroom. Our teacher induction program, we contract with RCOE to go through that. It helps with their clearing their credential. We call it CTI. Its implementation and induction program helps to build capacity of our new teachers in order to have quality teachers that will ultimately affect our student outcomes. Our coaches meet with them at a minimum of 1 hour a week. Sometimes it's to go over lesson plans, sometimes it's just to be listeners and therapists for them. But with having our coaches taken out of the classroom to be able to do the support, they really are to be able to build those relationships. And you'll see that in the survey results at the end. Currently, right now, we have about 151 people being supported in this program, varying from our year 1 to year 2 inductions, our interns, our emergencies, and our STEP, and also our PAR. And I'll explain kind of what all of those are. Most districts don't necessarily give information support to our interns or our emergency credentials, but we do that. And also with conjunction with PSDA, we work with our STEP program and our PAR to make sure that we're giving support to our experienced teachers. Currently, right now, we have approximately 105 teachers in our induction program, 44 of them being single subject, 40 being multiple subject, and 21 being special education. 5 of those are trying to complete early, and to be able to be an early completer, you have to have good evaluations and recommendations from your coach and also from your principal. Our STEP program, in collaboration with PSTA, as you know, I've talked before, is one of the things that I'm really kind of proud of in our district. It is helping our experienced teachers that need that little bit of support and help with coaching through either pedagogy or lesson planning or just classroom management. We've increased our numbers over the years. That also tells me that we're building trust with PSDA and our members to make sure that they know that support is there for them and they're reaching out for it. Like I said earlier, we have our interns, our staff applicants, emergency credentials, and teachers that we're supporting throughout this process. Again, it's just kind of another one of those ways that these 6 people are supporting our teachers all the way through the classroom. When this is a confidential program, so they don't necessarily go to the principal. It's a safe space for our teachers to be able to reflect on their teaching practices and be coached by these individuals. Our PAR, Peer Assistance Review, is our process for teachers that have an unsatisfactory evaluation. They get recommended at the end of the year to go into this process, and then we coach them through. We have every 2 months meet about them. We give the coach different aspects of where they can look at. We meet with the principal to see what we're trying to do. Again, the whole goal is to make sure they get the support to be successful in our classrooms and make sure that those students get what they need in the process. Our PAR Council consists of those 7 individuals, myself, Brad Sauer, our Director of Human Resources, Kyle Lyles, our Assistant Principal here at Desert Hot Springs High School, and also has, again, our collaborative effort with PSTA, Karen Johnson, President, Bonnie Keene, Jessica Pack, and Shanna Aguilar, who are all 3 teachers. And again, as I talked about how the reflective coaches were picked for these positions as they go through the interview, this is the same council that would do that interview panel. So again, in conjunction with PSTA. Currently, right now, we have 1 teacher in PAR. They are in their 2nd year, actually, of PAR. Last year, we had 2 individuals in PAR, and the year before that, we had 1 individual in PAR. And again, to be considered in PAR, they have to have an unsatisfactory evaluation at the end of the year. So when we look at kind of our results, and again, this is from last year for when we surveyed our induction candidates through CTI, you're going to see through this data that we outscore the county in almost every single area, especially when it's talking about building relationships and the coaching aspect of our individuals, our reflective coaches. You'll see that, especially at the end, is kind of where I'm really proud. And also, as you notice here, 77% of our people find it more adequate and successful for them, where our COE in general is around 69%. So again, you're going to see that we outscore the benefits through the survey that they conduct. And you can see throughout here, our coaches building relationships and making sure that they feel cared and valued in our classrooms. All the way through, again, we're outscoring our COE. Is there any questions?
First of all, I'm intrigued about the STEP program. And is that something that's been recently created over the last 8 years, or has it gone on for a while?
The STEP program has been around for a while. It's been, again, in collaboration with PSTA. I've seen more people accessing the resource lately. So I'm seeing, again, I see that as trust being built between PSTA and our reflective coaches.
So the reflective coaches work with the STEP applicants?
They do. They work with the STEP applicants. So our reflective coach average about 25 people per caseload.
That's so great. And then in our process, we have interns and the STEP applicants and the emergency credentialed teachers. And the administrators, are they involved somehow?
So the administrators at
directly?
site, yes, they're still supporting. This is just an additional support to what our administrators and the sites are already doing through their evaluation process, their walkthroughs, and their own coaching and professional development on the sites. This is an addition to that, and it really is unique to our district in the sense that we have these people that are pulled out of the classroom to make sure that they're building those relationships and giving them the skills that they need to be successful.
All of you and all of your team, thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
That's all for me. Anything else?
Quick question for you, Brian. You said there was one that was in the PAR section. Out of how many teachers is that?
We average about 1,000 teachers in our district. I don't have the exact number, but about 1,000 teachers.
And it was just one?
There's one currently in there, yes. And just also, our first-year teachers wouldn't be available for PAR at this time. So that number of 1,000, though we have 1,000 employees that are certificated teachers that would be possible for this, they wouldn't qualify because they haven't been evaluated at the end of the process yet. So that number does go down a little.
Do you have an idea what that number is?
Off the top of my head, probably not, but it'd probably be, we hired about 150 teachers last year.
Thank you.
Perfect. Do you have any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hendra.
Thank you.
Before I move on, I must apologize because I think we should have gone to our student board members and included them in the comments. And, first let's vote on this and then we'll go back to you. So just so you know, we're going to come back to you right now. So we are approving a final PAR report for 2022-2023 OE 4.4. Can I get a motion to approve item 14A?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passed. Okay, Juliana, would you like to say anything about any of the topics we've spoken about on the agenda or anything that's come to your mind?
Just want to say it's nice to have you all on our campus tonight, and we hope to see you at our Spring Fest. It'll be a lot of fun, and our Powder Puff game.
Thank you. And Matthew, was there anything else you wanted to add at the end right now? Not the end, right here in the middle?
I just wanted to say that, I'm thankful that we were able to come to the DHS campus tonight. It's very nice. I like it over here.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, so we look at item 14B, approval of positive certification of solvency, second interim report for 2023-2024. And Mr. Jeff Simmons will present the second interim report.
Thank you very much. If the board's okay, I'll go ahead and present from this location. Might be a little easier for all of us to see the screen and for me to present. So, all right. So at this time, I want to thank publicly and recognize our Director of Fiscal Services, Tony Carrillo. He is in the audience there. You may not be able to see him; he's behind the screen. But he and his team did a fabulous job putting this all together. I also want to thank all of Ed Services and Human Resources, as well as all the divisions under Business Services. It really takes a team effort to put these reports together, the budget in particular, and everybody being fiscally responsible. Within this report, the SACS report here, you're going to have several different funds. For example, Fund 09 is Cielo Vista, if you want to see how Cielo Vista is doing. Fund 12 is ECE, if you want to see kind of how they're doing. 13 is Nutrition Services. And if you want to look at the facilities funds and kind of monitor how those funds are doing, that's 3 different funds. Funds 21, 25, and 40. Fund 21 is the bonds. Fund 25 is developer fees. You've heard us talk a lot about those. And Fund 40 is another facilities fund that also has our redevelopment funds in it. You've heard us speak about those quite a bit. Tonight we're mainly going to focus on Fund 3, which is the unrestricted general fund, and Fund 06, which is the restricted general fund.
Pardon me, Jeff. Is there a written place where the funding numbers are?
There is. At the top of in the book at the top.
In the book.
Right, you'll see what the fund numbers are.
Okay.
Did you say 121 and 125?
No, just not 121, just 21. 21, 25, and 40 are your facilities funds. So it's listed as Form 21, Form 25, and Form 40, so. And usually the first page of each of those gives you the breakdown and what the fund balance is, breakdown of revenue, breakdown of expenditures, and the fund balance and so forth, so. So it's a good idea to look at the first page of each of those funds, so. Okay? Tonight, again, we're going to focus on just the general fund, though. I'm also going to focus between the first interim and now. We've heard from the governor and what he thinks his 2024 budget's going to be. There's still quite a bit to do on that particular budget. You might have heard some differences between what he thinks the budget's going to be and what the Legislative Analyst Office thinks it's going to be. We'll go over that a little bit. And then also give you, our positive certification and let you understand some of the things that are coming up in regards to the budget. It's not all roses, but we are going to have a positive certification at this particular point. All right, our second interim report. This addresses the current year and a very preliminary planning for the next 2 years. Again, the focus is going to be on the general fund tonight. There are conditions that are continuously changing at the state level between the Legislative Analyst Office, the LAO, and the Governor's Office, Department of Finance, which may affect our revenue and cause adjustments to the our local level with expenditure adjustments as needed as we go on. We'll present estimated actuals and the budget in June. We'll know a lot more by that time because May revise what will have been out for us. And there's 3 different types of certifications, the positive, qualified, and negative. Our objective is always to come out with a positive certification. And like I said, spoiler alert, we're going to have a positive certification tonight. But again, I'll go over in a little bit more detail. It's not, by the time we get to 25, 26, we are going to need to make some reductions, and I'll explain why. Okay, the second interim includes actual financial data through the end of 2024, then revised projections for the remainder of the fiscal year. And we also look at the next 2 fiscal years. Oh, sorry, there you go. All right, we look for guidance from our COE, at least on what we're supposed to do for the interims. And then we also look, because we're doing a multi-year projection, we look at what the LAO's office is projecting, what the Department of Finance office is projecting, and School Services California is a super big help with those multi-year projections. We listen to all their guidance and make sure that we're following that guidance as we work through our projections. Let's talk a little bit about the governor's budget. So Governor Newsom, his measures, $37.9 billion shortfall due to largely the 2022 tax collections, and I'm going to be going over that in another slide. The governor's budget also projects that there's a $12 billion reduction in Prop 98. However, he is working really hard to not have education affected by that. The governor's focus is on student whose learning was and continues to be impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. So he's really trying hard not to affect education, even with the shortfall from the 2022 tax collections. The LAO's office kind of has a different opinion, so we'll see between the negotiations that come up during this time period, what's going to really happen between now and the actual budget that comes out from the state in June. But as you know, where the state goes, we go. So this is not in your packet, but I thought this was a really good understanding of what's been happening at the state level. Prop 98 is, as you probably know, that's basically our education budget at the state level. It's spread out amongst all the school districts. So you can see that the enacted budget in gray here, the projection for 2022-23 was $107.4 billion to be given to schools. What actually ended up happening was, we ended up with $98.3 billion. So that was a shortfall right there of several billion dollars, 9.1 to be exact there. And then in 23-24, the projection was to continue going up from that $107 billion to $108.3 billion. Instead, now the governor's projecting $105.6 billion to be spent on education through Prop 98, But the LAO's office is only projecting the guarantee, and this is just the minimum guarantee of what's required to come to us, not necessarily what they're actually giving to us. That could be a little bit more based on additional funding, but this is the guaranteed minimum of what we get. The LAO's projecting, because of those tax revenues, only $100.4 million to come. So you can see that there's a difference in their projections, and there's a serious shortfall here, and there'll be some compromise as to what they think is actually going to happen and how it affects schools. We're kind of going to remain to find out. And again, in 24-25, the LAO's office and the governor's office are projecting certainly different amounts. They're off by about $3 billion from each other. So there's a little bit of fighting going back and forth, for lack of a better word, up at the state level, and we'll find out a little bit more as we get to the actual budget in June. So historically here, we've been given quite a bit of money through Prop 98 since 1920 through 2021. It's resulted in significant financial investments. We've done some great things. The good news is the state has put mechanisms in place during those years to build a rainy day reserve. They are planning on using that reserve to help us through these shortfalls, but still, it's, they are shortfalls, and there's expected to be some mitigation here. The bad news in 22-23, that was the year that they augmented the 6.7 COLA with another 6.56. I'm sorry, the statutory COLA was 6.56. They augmented it with 6.7% additional. Now the governor and legislature, because they had this revenue shortfall, they didn't make enough in taxes to collect the amount that they gave us during that year. They're kind of fighting back and forth as to whether or not the school districts are going to have to pay it back and how it's going to be paid back. There has been a plan thought of that maybe starts in 25-26, and they take a little bit each year for 5 years to pay back that 22-23. But again, the governor's fighting to avoid that altogether. Right now, for continuing kind of with the good news, despite the significant underperformance, the governor is not proposing, again, he's not proposing any new cuts or deferrals. Again, this is to the K-12 budget, and it was what he was projecting in January. There still has to be a lot of compromise, and we'll find out more at the May revise. But we are facing now what we probably should have faced back in 18-19 or 19-20 is a COLA only, right at the pandemic. Then we started getting an influx. We were talking at that time it was going to be a COLA only environment. We're going to have to make some cuts and reductions, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and we got an influx of money. They were talking about the fiscal cliff at that particular time also, and then we got hold harmless years. So there's been kind of a false sense of security, if you will. We've gotten a lot of one-time money and a lot of bailouts for hold harmless on the ADA, and then there was the 3-year average of the ADA. Even though we were declining, we were actually making more money by a couple thousand students than the actual students that we have. If you remember me talking about the 3-year average in a couple of other ones. But it's all kind of catching up to us. It's all coming to a head. It's like it's basically a perfect storm, and I'll kind of go over that when we go over our own particular budget. So this is just more of where the projections from the LAO's office and the governor's office are differing. You can see in 22-23 the actual enacted budget there in light yellow. It says $122.8 billion. What ultimately ended up happening in personal income tax, what they ended up receiving. So they projected, this is a projection, they projected $122 billion. They only received $101 million. That's a problem because they gave out more than what they received for that particular year. And then the projection for this year is kind of more of the same for personal income tax. There's a higher, there was a higher amount of enacted budget, and there's a difference between what the governor is projecting and what the LAO's office is projecting. The LAO's office is much more conservative at $104 billion, where the governor is projecting that by the end of this year we'll receive $113 billion in personal income tax. Moving on from that, you can see the corporate tax is kind of more of the same. The enacted budget was higher than what was actually collected in 22-23, and also the enacted budget was higher than what is projected for those two particular things as well. Sales and use tax is a little bit, pretty much even in the 22-23 year. As you can see, the governor is projecting quite a bit more in sales and use tax than even the enacted budget was, and even what the LAO's office is. So, like I said, there's quite a bit of back and forth going on at the state level. And that's where the road ahead comes in. The next checkpoint is the May revision. There's a lot of negotiations that happens between the governor's office and between the legislative analyst's office, the legislatures in general. There's a lot of advocacy for education, a lot of advocacy for other programs that are up there. So, and there's only so much money to go around. So they are working on, strategically budgeting all the money to go around, and hopefully in the end, education will be one of their top priorities, and will come out to where we're not going to end up owing those back funding, and will be okay at the state level moving forward. Still going to be some cuts. We still have the declining enrollment, and I'll go over that in just a second here. So, in the yellow here, you remember me talking about, and if you kind of look to the left of that yellow, what we've been funded on as far as ADA is concerned and what our actual ADA has been, it's been quite a bit more is what we've been funded on because of that 3-year average and those hold harmless years. Now, once we get to 25, 26, you can see that there are only, 4 students off? So that's about the time where this comes down to where we're actually going to be paid on on the students that we can get seats, to get the students in the seats, right? And then also, as a part of these projections, it's anticipated, and this is our own internal anticipation, hopefully we don't have to adjust it, but that the ADA will increase by about 1% a year to at least get to that 93% by 2025. If it's not looking like we're going to do that, then those adjustments will have to be made. Good news is our unduplicated count, that pretty much does stay at 96.5. The enrollment on top, we're projecting to only decrease by a couple hundred students each year. At some point, that's got to level off, right? We're starting to get a few new houses in, but we're expecting that to hopefully also level off around 25, 26, or 26, 27, to where we can at least maintain that enrollment or even start to increase at that particular moment. But the key thing is that ADA. And then you've already heard about COLA. The COLA at for 24-25 was at 3.81. Now it's at 0.76. So that's a huge, huge decrease for 24-25. And then what it was for 25-26, it was 3.54. Now it's a projection of 2.73. We'll see if it holds at that when we get to that particular year. So I thought this graph would kind of help explain all of what I'm talking about. The yellow line is the line in which we would have what we would have had if we were not declining enrollment, if we were just getting COLA dollars. And you can also look at the yellow line as kind of our trajectory for our expenses at this particular moment, right? But the orange line is our reality. The orange line is where because we have declining enrollment, because it's going to catch up to us in 25, 26, and even this next year, we're going to dip down about $14 million in revenue, which means you see, and I put a pretty extensive dot right there for 25, 26. That is the year that we really must have a new norm for our expenses. We cannot continue to have our expenses go up and our revenue has kind of taken a different trajectory at this particular time. And you can see that trajectory right here in the orange.
Jeff, what year is that? You said 25?
25, 26 is, yeah, so. And I'll explain why 25, 26 in just a little bit. We'll have a stabilization plan that I'll talk over with the board here. But that gives us a year to really look at what we have. But if one of the problems that we're having right now, again, perfect storm. So we're losing one-time money. We have declining enrollment. Our ADA percentage is lower than it was before the pandemic. Things are costing a lot more, right? And then the state budget slowed down, so for all that. So we have quite a bit of things going on. And what we have at the district level is we had a lot of ongoing expenses that were continued over the past few years put into ESSER funds, and ESSER funds were one-time expenses. So we had about $13 million worth of ongoing expenses that we still want to keep ongoing if we can, and so those have to come out of the restricted dollars, the one-time dollars, into our unrestricted budget. We have not put that in there at this particular moment because we're looking to try to figure out the offset to that by 25, 26. But so you figure you've got $13 million more in expenses coming up in 24, 25, and $14 million less in revenue. That's a $27 million swing. That's really the reductions that we're going to have to make by 25, 26. And I'll go over that stabilization plan in a minute. We actually have started working on that through position control and some other means. But first, we'll kind of just take a quick look at that Fund 03 that I talked about, the unrestricted funds. So what is unrestricted funds? It's very difficult to cut these funds because it's the base services. It's all the business services, human resources, educational services, our site staffs, our teachers, our paras. It includes all the LCAP services, right? That's part of your unrestricted general fund, which is a lot of student services and supplemental services and mental health and counseling. And then it's also our operational costs. It's our utilities, our custodial, grounds, supplies, books, et cetera. And then it also contributes to special education. The funds that come from the federal government and the state government do not cover the entire special education cost. So we have to, our general fund has to contribute to special education costs as well. We've done it, we've taken back our mild to severe special education costs from the county, which has saved us some money, but it's still, a legal cost that we have to take care of and make sure that, we're upholding all of those IEPs. So this is kind of the unrestricted piece. As you can see, I've combined it on the very bottom there as Fund 17. That's another unrestricted fund that we use to support our fund balance. So the first thing that we do when we're kind of declining here, so by 25, so you can see in 23, 24, we're looking pretty good. In 24, 25, we're looking pretty good. But by 25, 26, we have to contribute from that Fund 17, the top yellow piece there, about $32 million. And from that source and other sources that are going to have to come into the fund there. So it's about $25 million from that particular source. And then as far as the assigned amounts, you can see that on the very bottom there, that next yellow line in 24, 25, that's what was used to kind of make up for the $21 million deficit spending in 24, 25. And then in 25, 26, we're using Fund 17 to kind of make up for it. But beyond that, all we have left is the committed money, that $15.7 million, and then our legal reserves. So we are going to have to do something by then to make sure that, we control this deficit spending and we're not going to dip into those reserves because that would give you a negative certification. And we definitely don't want to do that. As far as is that right? Oh, there we go. As far as the unrestricted and restricted, the restricted side looks pretty good because, again, we contribute from the unrestricted side to kind of balance these ones out. We get a lot of categorical money for different specific things. So when you're looking at the combined funds, it looks pretty good. But when we're talking about LCFF and LCAP, those are the unrestricted funds, and that's where that $14 million difference is going to happen. And again, some of those funds are used to contribute to the other side here for restricted.
Where's that showing at, Jeff? Is that on
So this is
24?
combined, it's unrestricted and restricted. I did not include a separate slide for restricted, but that's Fund 06 in your book, if you wanted to look at that separately.
You said form number 6?
Form 06, Form 06, thank you. So one of the things that we can do, like this is, then the restricted side is the ELOP funds, and it's also the contributions that we do from the unrestricted side. So there can be some cost shifting, and we're going to be working on that. And I'll go over, like I said, the stabilization plan here in a minute. But in the meantime, through this budget, and I don't mean to sound, we're going to be okay, but we just have to work together to make sure we're making the appropriate reductions that we need to make, and it's a lot of reductions. That $27 million is a lot. And these are the things to consider as well. That declining enrollment. When is that going to stop? We have new language that's associated with class size reduction, but I think that's actually going to be able to help us, and through this particular situation. And we're also very aware of employee compensation, the step and column, and through our negotiations. The purchase of textbooks, I think we have a math adoption going on right now, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, that's something else to, that we're in the middle of here and trying to continue. We know that the cost of STRS and PERS continues to increase. Although STRS is a bit stable right now, PERS continues to increase by quite a bit. And then a big thing we have coming up here is a new transportation contract. I know Abdul's going to go over transportation here in a minute, but that's going to be pretty huge to see where they're coming in at. We've already agreed that we're going to look at first student first and see where they come in at their contract. And if we all agree to that contract, then that'll be our new contract moving forward. So here's our stabilization plan. So what we've talked about in cabinet, what we're doing this year in particular, is we've recognized that we have two different systems for business and for human resources. So we need to reconcile those systems. That's what we've been working on a lot this year, making sure that what's in our financial system matches what's in the HR system. So we began really working on those vacancies, what's needed and what's not, and delete the ones that are not in there, and really bring position control and having business and HR work really hand in hand to bring that position control into place. And then focus on those vacant positions so they don't affect people in general, just the positions. What do we truly need? What do we, what can we move on without at this particular moment in time? And then the big thing for us this year is to save as much as we possibly can. Because if we can save more in the fund balance, which is what we've already started to do, we've shifted costs to the in-person instruction grant, which we had about $10 million there, that we were able to shift the cost because that grant's ending this year. We have ESSER funds ending this year. So what we're not providing to facilities, we're providing to the general fund here by doing some cost shifting and making sure that we're spending that entire amount of one time, and what we can, we're bringing into our general fund as a savings. So we'll know more about that when budget hits. But if we save as much as possible, then that means the more money we have in the general fund, what that does for us, it doesn't solve the problem, but it buys us time. Right? And that's mainly the reason why we've gotten a year here of time, and we really have to focus on our reductions in 25-26 because we are going to have that much in essentially our savings fund balance to be able to support us through 24-25. So in 24-25, we're going to review all the contracts and programs. Actually, we've even started that this year for the year 24-25. Reducing staff through attrition, again, looking at those vacant positions where people have retired, reduce site and department discretionary budgets by 10%. That's already in place to start this next year. And like I said, cost shifting wherever we can. We're going to start direct charging the ELOP program, for example, for the time that our custodians work on the after-school program. Start charging that program because it's on the restricted side and we can save on our unrestricted. Start charging for utilities that are being used by that program and other categorical programs that are going on at that particular time. So it's really just a matter of diving deep into those expenditures and shifting them where we can. Is there a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. When you talk about reducing staff and staff reductions, does the board get some kind of input into the staff reduction question?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, right now we focused on vacant positions and whatnot, but when we get to 25, 26, we've been talking a lot in cabinet of what those might be. We're not for sure yet, but once we are for sure, we'll be bringing them to, of course, we'll be bringing them to the board for approval. Absolutely.
So right now for next year, through just attrition and having retirements, you think we'll be all right then without?
That along with just being able to save quite a bit of money into fund balance from those one-time expenditures that I talked about. Yeah, 24, 25, that's the reason why we kind of elected in cabinet not to do any layoffs, see what happens at the state level, because that's important. I mean, we don't want to overreact, and we don't want to overreact at all, but we don't want to react too early because we're very reliant on what happens at the state. So where the state goes, we go. So we'll see what kind of happens throughout the year. And again, once we move that $13 million of ESSER funds, into our general fund, we'll get a really good idea of where we stand and what we truly need to cut. My assumption, because of that revenue and expenditure difference, is going to be around $27 to $30 million, which is almost 10% of that LCFF fund. So it's quite a bit. But, you know, again, through some of these works that we're doing now, that we may be able to soften the blow a little bit by 25, 26. And that's really the goal before we come to the board with, you know, some layoffs or program changes and whatnot. We want to be, you know, pretty sure that that's what's really necessary to happen.
Okay, before you talk about those, are you going to get some input from the board, though, about staff reductions? Or Tony, you want to talk to that for just a second?
Yes, absolutely. So obviously within cabinet, we'll be having that dialogue as areas that for potentially 25, 26, where we would make some recommendations. But the answer, Board Clerk Cornett, is yes, absolutely. That'd be going through the board. So we would not be taking any kind of unilateral decision on that whatsoever. But we would be making recommendations, but we really need to take the time first to analyze the situation before we bring anything forward.
Okay.
So, but yes, you'll be directly involved in that entire process.
And we want you to be able to see how that will affect the budget. So what I'll probably end up bringing to you as far as a budget is concerned, one without particular cuts that have been discussed in cabinet, and one with. However, you won't have to make any decisions on that until toward March of the next year. So we'll still have some time to see if all those really need to take place or not as we go through 24, 25.
Okay.
So that's really the goal right there, okay?
Appreciate that.
Yes. And then, as you can see in 25, 26 is when we, you know, possible staff reductions, possible necessary program reductions. We're looking to possibly switch to an enrollment-based staffing allocation. We've been giving quite a bit of money, including one-time money, to our sites. We may have to go back down to those levels where we're at in 18, 19, and you know, have them make their own reductions at the site level as well. And then it's not just about expenditure reductions. If we can figure out a way to increase our revenue by ADA percentages going up, our enrollment going up, we may have to potentially review our interdistrict transfer policies. All those things will increase our revenue, which will help us not to have to, you know, decrease so much in expenses. So you know, time will tell. The state budget will tell us more. But again, for right now, the recommendation is a positive certification, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure it stays that way, right? So we just need to work together between the board, cabinet, staff, all our union representatives, and everybody work together to make sure that, you know, we're doing what's best for kids and what's best for fiscal responsibility. That's it for now.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve 14B, the positive certification of solvency second interim report for 2023-2024?
I move the motion.
Any second?
Second.
All right. Are there any questions? No? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Jeff. Very comprehensive.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Motion passed. Next, we look at item 14C in the approval of 2024-2025 Transportation Service Plan per Education Code, EC Section 39800.1, OE 9.1. And Jeff Simmons will introduce Abdul.
Sure. So coming up to the podium is Abdul Bazrud. He is our coordinator of transportation services, and he's going to be kind of discussing in two parts. You normally would have seen him twice in a year, but I think we're ready to kind of discuss service areas as well. So we have to discuss the service plan prior to April 1st, and then normally in July, I think, which is almost too late, he comes to you with new service areas that we're considering. So you'll have two different action items that he's going to discuss in this particular presentation.
Thank you, Jeff. Good evening, President Jarrell. Thank you for allowing me to do my presentation tonight. As Mr. Simmons explained, we'll be discussing two items that we normally discuss in two separate board meetings, and we'll see if the board likes it this way. So first item to cover would be the 24-25 Transportation Service Plan. And the second item is the 24-25 Transportation Service Areas. So we'll be doing an overview of the Education Code 39800.1 as a refresher for the board. We'll be providing the requirements or going over the main requirements of the Ed Code. Then I'd like to share some transportation updates with the board members. And we're going to transition to the proposed service expansion for next school year. And we're going to briefly discuss future expansions as well. And we'll conclude with the transportation services recommendation. Briefly, Ed Code 39800 was enacted back in, or part of the 22-23 budget code. It presents a very important increase in funding for transportation. It actually you'll be getting up to 60% of the transportation expenditures under the function 3600. Minus the transportation add-on for that year. So as a requirement, or what's required from the LEAs, is to create a plan discussing or describing transportation that the district will be providing for the next school year, and to report data at the end of the year. So here are the main requirements for the Ed Code. Okay, so the first, districts must develop a plan describing how they will provide transportation services to their students, prioritizing low-income and those in TK through 6th, English learners, students with disabilities, foster and homeless students. And a copy was provided to the board members of the transportation plan, or a description of transportation services for next school year, along with an estimated revenue based on this year's projected expenditures for transportation. The second requirement, it requires the governing board to adopt a plan on or before April 1st of 2023, and then before April 1st thereafter, or every year after that. It is important to note that we are considering the adoption of a multi-year transportation plan, as we're still not clear on the state requirement. So we are looking into that, but if possible, we'll be moving towards the adoption of a multi-year plan. Requirement number 3, it prohibits school districts from charging transportation fees for unduplicated pupils. I'm sure board members know that we do not charge transportation fees to all of our students in PSUSD, so we are compliant there. Requirement number 4 is the plan must be developed in consultation with parents, classified, certificated, and administrative staff, and regional local transit authorities, including air pollution control districts. So we are compliant there as well. Back in November of 2023, a survey was shared with all of our parents and also all of our certificated and classified staff. We have reached out to the local transit authority, and in our case, it would be Sunline Transit Agency, and the Southwest Air Quality Management District. The feedback was collected and taken in consideration when creating the plan. Lastly, the district may partner with municipally owned transit systems to provide service to middle and high school students, which we already do through our Student Support Services Department. They provide free bus passes for our students. At this point, do we have any questions regarding the plan?
Any questions? No,
Okay,
Not
great.
at this time.
Please feel free to stop me whenever you have a question. Next is some transportation updates that I'd like to share with the board. So first, we have started using the services of First Alt, which is another division of First Student, and they provide alternative transportation. I'm sure the board members remember the ratification back in October of 2023. As of now, we have created 8 routes using their services, and the reason to choose to work with First Alt is their flexibility. So we can create, modify, or remove route fairly quicker than the First Student conventional services. We use their services mainly to service the hard-to-reach students, meaning any students located outside of our boundaries or anywhere where we don't have an existent school bus route. Also, we use their services to provide transportation for our homeless students and foster as well. The good thing about First Alt drivers is that they are subject to the same policies and background check, fingerprint clearance as the regular First Student drivers. The only difference is that they do not have a commercial driver's license as they drive regular cars. Next is I would like to go over the staffing like I normally do every year. I know last meeting back in August of 2023, we were short 9 drivers. That went back to 6 drivers right now. Excuse me. And I'm sure that number will go down by the end of the year as we have so far 8 qualified drivers in the training process. So hopefully they'll all pass their CHP test and that shortage will go down to 0. That's where we wanted to see it. And it is important also to note that the drivers I'm talking about, or the shortage, is mainly for the cover drivers. The bus routes, the 76 bus routes we run are entirely staffed, meaning we have a driver for every route. The drivers we still need are the cover drivers that we use in case there are call-offs or leave of absences granted by the location manager. Also, we have run 2 rounds of behavioral trainings for our drivers and monitors to teach them or assist them on how to deal with behavioral challenges on the buses, especially for our special education routes. We partnered with our special education departments and the training went well. Like I said, 2 rounds of training for the drivers. And we have recently completed the Conscious Education 1.0 for all First Student and I should not say all, but almost all of the drivers, because of those Saturdays where the training was scheduled, we had some drivers covering athletic trips, so they were not able to attend, but they will be provided with a chance to make up that training.
I just want to say a comment is I met the drivers at 1.0 unconscious bias training, and I was impressed with them participating on that Saturday. And thank you for encouraging them to participate.
Thank you so much. Moving on with some updates, I just wanted to share with the board that we have been working with the Riverside County Traffic Division to install school bus stop signs along Dillon. It is along process. So 11 new bus stop signs were approved and installed by the traffic division. We have 4 more to go. We're still waiting on the division to install those 4 stops along Dillon. We have noticed we have quite few drivers driving fast along Dillon, so we are hoping by the installation of the signs it'll help slow down traffic. So those stops that were created will be servicing Desert Hot Springs High School, Desert Springs Middle School, Dilla Lindley, and Julius Corsini Elementary Schools. Also, we are working with other entities, currently working with Cathedral City to identify similar stops where we can install those signs, hoping to make it safer for our students at the stops. And same thing will be done for throughout our attendance boundary. As you can see in the map here, all the blue dots are the newly created, not created, but the newly installed bus stop signs. The green ones are the ones already, they were existent, although new signs were installed for those as well. They're a little brighter. You can see them from afar. Next, we'll be discussing the proposed service expansion, which is the second half of my presentation. As I mentioned, we have shared a survey with our parents and staff. We have received an overwhelming 57% request to add more bus service in Desert Hot Springs area. We went ahead and selected areas, as we normally do, that are the far from the school and where there is high density of students, to provide the gen ed or general education home to school transportation. We have 115 students already qualified based on their home address for that service. And it is important to indicate that we have not added any routes, so there wouldn't be any added cost. We went ahead and combined 2 existing routes where we noticed they were not efficiently used to create the high school route. As you can see, 8 buses or bus stops were created for that route. You can see them there from 1 to 8. And no newly created stop was created because those we already service with other schools like DSMS or Dilla Lindley. Now you can see the red area is the potential expansion of that we are presenting tonight. Along Dillon, as I mentioned, 115 students will be qualified, and we have already started that route. I figured the board wanted us to go that route, so the route was created back in February 26th to see how many students we're going to get. So here it is. This is the area that we are proposing to the board to approve tonight. Next, I just wanted to share with the board what we are doing also for next school year. Currently, we are exploring the possibility of combining the middle and high school routes to potentially transport more high school students, as we have received many requests from the parents regarding the transport of high school students. So this is something we're working on right now, and I will definitely give you an update on by the next board meeting. And the areas we are considering right now are Cathedral City High School and Rancho Mirage High School attendance boundaries.
Quick question for you.
Sure.
Have you guys took into consideration the levels of suspension on those different classes or groups? Just, specifically saying, having children on the same bus with someone in high school could create some sort of an issue?
We are thinking about that as well. That's a great question. But we are using bus attendants on board of those routes to ease, if you want, that transition. And also, I am personally working to assist our principals on enforcing the bus code of conduct on board. So we'll see how that goes.
So it will be middle school
and high school.
And high school?
Yes.
Just to clarify, that's not something that's actually happening. It's just been a part of our discussions as to, because, can you go back one slide? As we've heard from the certificated form, the classified form, superintendent's advisory meeting, and others, it's been about high school transportation and how can we provide more high school transportation. And you just kind of heard me talk about the budget, right? So we're trying to figure out ways, just through our discussions right now, is there a way we can do it without additional costs? That was just one idea, possibly combining middle and high school. The way we did the Desert Hot Springs one is there was 2 middle school routes going up Dillon. We collapsed them both to one route, to one bus, as opposed to 2 buses, and used the other bus for high school. So there's things like that we, that we're looking at as well. So don't take this that, oh, that's happening, because it's just really a very preliminary discussion of how we can support our high schools. The main thing we're looking at is chronic absenteeism, but certainly behavior issues and who to put on the bus and who not to put on the bus is going to be part of those discussions as well. So yeah, it's
please,
very preliminary conversation.
Please take that into consideration.
Absolutely,
because we also have high gangs as well. So it could be it could be good, and it also can be bad as well. So
Right.
please take it into consideration.
And we don't really want to do that. Again, it's just more or less to show you that we're in these conversations. We're listening to our certificated staff. We're listening to our classified staff. We're listening to our parents, trying to come up with something that we can do while still being fiscally responsible. We haven't had high school transportation other than one area, Palm Springs High School. We just barely got this one at Desert Hot Springs through some creative solutions. So we're just looking for, if you have any other creative solutions for us to consider, that would be wonderful for, as we consider possibilities of Cathedral City High School and Rancho Mirage High School. We've heard from those parents. We've also heard from about Desert Hot Springs. So if this route doesn't work, we may consider the west side of Desert Hot Springs. Because so far on the Dillon Road, to be honest, I mean, we just started it, like you said, in February, but we've only got 8 students riding at this particular point. The school's doing their best to continue to contact them. But if that route's not working, then we look at the data, right? We analyze data and we say, okay, if this isn't working, we go somewhere else. They're really wanting us to do the west side over there. So again, just preliminary discussions. The only thing we've done so far is that Dillon Road route, because the survey said for us to do it, right? And hopefully we get more riders on that one. But
How many responses did you guys get from the survey?
I think there was 115 people, 115 families to reach out to that qualified along that route. And the FACE specialists and whatnot are continuing to reach out to those families to help us get more riders and to get that advertised more. I mean, it takes a little bit of time, which is why we wanted to start it now, and get it kind of building up for this next year. So, okay.
One of those creative ideas you mentioned at the beginning of the presentation was the first alternative. So maybe carpool vans or other types of, rather than a bus, maybe other types of transportation. It sounds like we might have to do some more specific types of interventions, maybe some, closer to the homes routes, closer up the neighborhood streets, rather than like the students that live on my street, they walk down Desert Moon, a very busy street, down to the middle school bus on Ramon, and maybe we have to get closer to our target in order to make points and get our kids picked up.
And those are certainly all things we can consider. Just keep in mind, the closer we get to those targets, the more stops we have to have, the more time it takes, and then we may have to take away other stops in order to get the kids to school on time, or even add buses, which is more of a cost as well. So all these things have to balance out, and we've had all these signs installed along what CHP considers safe areas along that road, and we work with CHP on each of our routes to make sure that all of our routes are in safe areas for us to be able to conduct business. So it takes quite a bit to change a stop, if you will. So unless it's part of the IEP, and if it's a special ed student, then obviously we pick up at the door.
Just for clarity, on your page 8, you've got 8 proposed new stops, and these are for Desert Hot Springs High School students. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Because I think it was the last time, or maybe the time before that we were out here in Desert Hot Springs. We had a contingent of people coming and asking for these routes.
That's right.
To be extended. I don't know if putting the principal on the spot right now, but if it's something that parents are well aware of, that maybe they will put their kids on the bus and help them get to school on time. Right now, you said there's only 8 students riding the bus?
I think that's what
That's
Abdul-
correct,
yeah.
yes.
But I mean, the school is Omar's staff is really working with us. His faith specialists are reaching out to all the families. It just takes some time because from my understanding, there has been some sort of carpool thing going on. So it's kind of, all right, we're going to put them on the bus and switching their normal routines around to get that going. And but that's another reason why we wanted to start it early enough to make sure that this is an appropriate route. Analyze the data by the end of the year. Make sure it's an appropriate route, and if something we want to continue to move forward with.
And also, the reason we were thinking to expand along Dillon is because there is no Sunbus service there. And according to many calls I received from parents, that they would want some type of transportation. And that's the reason why we considered going as close as possible to those parents.
I wasn't saying that he's not helping. I'm sure that Mr. Tonatiuh is right on it, because he always is on everything.
You said you didn't want to put him on the spot, so I was trying not to put him on the spot.
So
he was raising his hand. I saw him.
He could raise his hand and talk to
Yeah,
us.
because we were here just last week.
Because I just wanted to say that the purpose of us coming out here is to see what you need. And this was something that was well expressed with a lot of people that came and said this is something you really needed. So we want to give you all the support that we can, because we really would like those kids to come to school and be on time. So.
Yeah. And he was sharing with us last week when we were visiting that he is on it. Omar, would you like to speak to that?
I knew you had a plan.
I think the point is that we listened. We listened the last time we were here. We listened to the data. We listened to the surveys. Abdul did a fantastic job putting out the survey and making sure that we continued to. He was at these certificated forums and the classified forums and the superintendent advisories, as was I, and we heard all these requests. We heard the requests from Desert Hot Springs the last time we were here. So we've been listening, and we've been trying to come up with different ideas, on what we can do for these students.
Okay, well, thank you.
Part of that participation number, that didn't include seniors. It's just the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. So the seniors were not included in that because it would.
Are you talking about the 115
Yes,
qualified?
yes,
Can you speak to that, Abdul?
I'm sorry?
The 115 qualified families, does that include seniors, or was it just freshmen and sophomore?
That's correct. That includes seniors as well.
So we're going to be losing them, part of that group.
Right, and a lot of them can drive. So, but we can't fit 115 on a bus anyway. So it was just trying to get a good portion of that
number.
115 to be able to ride the bus.
So we are a bit flexible when it comes to creating routes. So what we normally do, and started with these zones that I have showed you, I wanted to make sure that we are not biting more than we can chew. So we can have those students on board, and then if we need to expand the route further, we can go ahead and do that, just so we can transport as many students as possible. A big bus or a transit bus holds about 55 students, so my goal is to maximize that number. So if we have a route that's not transporting as many, there is something wrong there. We need to use them as much as possible.
Do we have any information with the Sunline Transit? Is that, do we have a certain amount of students that ride the Sunline Transit to school?
We do have some students that ride Sunbus, especially the ones located in the area of Cork Hill and Dillon. So that's how far the Sunbus goes. So we do have some students that prefer actually to ride the Sunbus. It's really up to them. But yes, we do have students who ride Sunbus on a daily basis.
And so if I'm hearing correct, Sunline doesn't cover some of those areas that you are extending?
That's correct. All the areas east of Cork Hill, or let's say east of Dillon and Langlois, are not covered by Sunbus.
And if I'm being familiar with Sunline, did you guys reach out to see if you had enough transportation rides to add a new route onto those areas?
Yes, we have reached out, but unfortunately, we're still waiting for a response at this time.
All right.
Okay, so this will conclude my presentation. My recommendation to the board is that the Transportation Services recommend to the Board of Education the approval of the 2024-25 Transportation Service Plan and the 24-25 Transportation Service Areas as presented. And one more thing I forgot to mention is that all the other transportation zones that are already posted on the website remain unchanged. This is the only change for next school year.
Do we have any additional questions? Okay. Thank you so much for all the information and answering our questions. So, can I get a motion to approve item 14C, the Transportation Service Plan?
I move for approval.
And a second.
Second.
Are there any questions? None at this time. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. So now we look at item 14D, the approval of transportation service areas for 2024-2025 school year, OE 8.10. Can I get a motion to approve item 14D?
Move for approval.
And a second?
Second.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we will look at item 14E, approval of certification of signatures. And so may I have a motion, or can I get a motion, to approve item 14E?
Move for approval.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks. Next, item 14F, the approval of amendment number 2 to leaseback agreement number C0004761 with West Coast Air Conditioning, Inc., Incorporated for the Cathedral City High School Modernization Project, OE 12.11. Can I get a motion to approve 14F?
Move for approval.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Item 14G, the approval of compromise and release agreement number 2324-04 between parents and district dated February 12, 2024, OE 6.1. Can I get a motion to approve 14G?
I move the motion.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, 14H, approval of a compromise and release agreement number 2324-05 between parents and district dated February 23rd, 2024, OE 6.1. Can I get a motion to approve 14H?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passed. We'll look at 14I, approval expulsion case 2023-2024-026, recommendation and findings of fact and conclusion of law, OE-11. Can I get a motion to approve 14I?
Madonna, I have a question for you.
Sure,
Would I abstain if I wasn't here for these items?
whatever you want to do.
Okay, all right, I'll abstain. I'll abstain for G through I.
Okay, we'll mark the record. Board Member Irvin abstains from 14G, 14H, and 14I. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go back to 14I and the expulsion case 2023-2024-026, the recommendation and findings of fact and conclusion of law OE-11. Can I get a motion to approve 14I?
Move for approval.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And one abstention there. Thank you. So we'll move on to items 15A through 15F. And we'll look at, in one vote, the approval of 15A, the approval of acceptance of gifts, OE 6. 15B, the approval of purchase order report, OE 6.2. C, 15C, approval of agreements under $10,000, OE 6.2. 15D, the approval of agreements $10,000 or more and other contracts. And 15E, the approval of a new job description, the elementary literacy coach, OE 4.7. 15F, the approval of new job description, social worker 2, OE 4.7. And then on the other side, G, the approval of certificated and classified employee transactions 4.4, OE 4.4. So it's 15A through 15G. So can I get a motion to approve those consent items?
I move.
All right, and a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments about any of those items? Okay. So motion passed. Oh, I'm sorry. A vote. All in favor?
Aye.
I went to motion passed. All right. Coming into 16, board consent item. 16A, the approval of meeting minutes for February 27, 2024. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Move for approval.
And a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Item 17, information. Revisions to Administrative Regulation AR 3517, Facilities Inspection OE-1212. 17B, New Administrative Regulation AR 3517.1, Menstrual Products OE-12. And 17C, April 23rd, 2024, Executive Cabinet approved employment contract addendums. So the board has received and reviewed this information. Okay? Next, suggestions for future agendas. Does anyone have any ideas for any future agendas? So I have been studying our work plan ahead, and I am looking at a past work plan that I have. And into June, we look at June 24th, is our revised board retreat meeting. And then our next meeting that we do our planning is scheduled for July 9th, the only one meeting we have in July. So in looking ahead, I would be interested in seeing us, perhaps, for many reasons, work to create a draft plan or study session that would be a draft and that would include some planning for the 2024-25 school year. And the reason I mention this is because many times board members are out of town on retreat or have scheduled things for that middle of the month near the holiday, and maybe in looking ahead as we prepare for our professional development and our scheduling for the new year, perhaps July 9th is a little bit late for us to be talking about the new year and securing dates and planning ahead. So my proposal would be that on the one date coming up, May 14th, on our work plan, we have citizenship, R3, and health and personal development. Are those being presented on that date?
Those are being presented at the end of April.
Okay.
And then May is the scheduled approval date.
Okay. So on that night, we just have the approval of OE 11, OE 7, a presentation and approval, and then what Simone mentioned. So we have time, perhaps, on May 14th to do a planning meeting with the board for our future year and to prepare for the coming school year. What do you think about this idea? I'm always looking ahead.
So we have a meeting that day, right?
Well, in the study session, we would discuss perhaps plans for ideas for the new year and securing dates and ideas for the new year, rather than July 9th. There's one meeting only in July.
What time will we have to come in early?
Well, we'd say about 4:30 or similar, 4 o'clock, whatever.
Probably 4.
You like 4?
4 is fine.
Okay. So
Well, it
what do you
depends-
think?
Depends on what else we have going that day.
Yeah, well, right now in the work plan, we don't.
But that's not the only thing on the agenda. We could have, expulsions and other things.
Yeah, it will be hard to predict our closed session without
Yeah.
this far
Right.
out. We just wouldn't be able to do that.
So, but I'm proposing perhaps maybe an hour to talk about future ideas and dates. Yeah, how does that sound?
Fine with me.
Fine with me, I'll be here
Okay.
anyways.
Just so that we can kind of get some ideas in motion and secured for the new year. Perfect. So we'll move ahead, and on the 14th, we'll look to agenda planning and see how that works and think ahead for a draft planning session. Okay? Thank you. All righty. With that, we set our next board meeting for March 26, 2024 at 6 o'clock at our District Administration Center. Do we have anything to debrief this evening? Any board members? Final closing comments? All right. Next adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.